Hey guys, this is T with tarlamakaeff.com. This is a video that I'm super excited to make because it's great news. So I did a video not that long ago, it's probably been a couple weeks now, about going through a special treatment for my very high anxiety called neurofeedback, and there's two types of it, and I think I explained in that video the difference between traditional neurofeedback and direct neurofeedback. So I'm actually doing direct neurofeedback. So basically, you sit down with a health practitioner. Mine is an ER doctor, and they attach EEG sensors to your head to read your brain waves during sessions, and basically based on what they're seeing and the machine is seeing the hardware, they're sending a microcurrent back to your head to basically untrain your brain if you're stuck in fight or flight or some negative pattern. So what I want to explain about this microcurrent, that some people might be like, that sounds scary, which at first I was scared going, sounds crazy, was that it is less of a power than putting your cell phone to your head, which we do all the time when we talk on our phone, or putting a battery to your head. So it's not even as strong as that. It's weaker than that, much weaker, like 1,000 times weaker or something. So it's extremely minimal. It's enough to basically jolt the brain, kind of wake up the brain, and basically say, stop, what are you doing? Get out of the same pattern that you're doing. Kind of think of it as a little slap to your brain, a little tap going, no, stop doing this. So every time you go in for a session, I'll explain kind of how the session works. Again, I'm seeing an ER doctor. His name is Dr. David Dubin in the Dubin Clinic. And so when I go in, I literally just sit down with him. I let him know how the last session went and basically how I felt after the last session. He'll do a new session with me, and depending upon how I'm reacting, hey Nadia, how are you, sweetie? He'll see kind of like how I'm reacting during the session, how I'm feeling. He'll basically, this EEG stuff's on my head, so it's attached to my head. And then I will usually notice, everybody's different, I will usually notice like a feeling of warmth or tingling in my feet. So that's just for me. Again, everyone's different. And they don't really know why that happens. I asked him, there's really no explanation. I feel like it's energy like flowing through you. And so almost like when you go for acupuncture, if you've ever been for acupuncture, you can feel the sensation of like your chi, as they call it, your energy flowing through your body, and kind of that movement. Like we're basically, in a way, electrical human beings. There's like electricity running through our bodies, right? The energy. So I'll usually feel that. You'll feel some warmth. I felt it before in my head, almost a lightheadedness, and maybe that means he's giving me a little too much and has to back off in the session, again, of the microcurrents. And so I felt it in my body, but usually it just, for some reason, it stays in my feet. And it's been in my hands too, and it's just a very warm, soothing sensation. And then you suddenly like start feeling really relaxed. It's kind of strange, but very cool. And yeah, I mean, that's what happens in the session. And when he's asking you while it's happening, you're not supposed to talk because you're not supposed to be distracted. He's just asking you how you're feeling, or I'll say, okay, now I'm starting to feel a little bit of tingling in my feet. Now I'm feeling some warmth. Or I'll say, I feel like it's plateaued. And when the feeling's plateauing, instead of continuing on and like forcing it, is usually they stop at that point because either it's not helping anymore, you've had enough, or well, pretty much that's the situation. Yeah, so it's plateaued and you're not having, you've had enough, and so they'll stop. So literally these sessions, when they're doing the treatment on you, can last 1 minute to, I've been there up to maybe 10 or 15 minutes. So it's really fast. The whole time that I'm there is maybe 30 to 45 minutes to kind of check in with him. It's a very quick in and out treatment. I've had 8 sessions. So basically, I'll just tell you, like, this is totally honest. So in my 7th session, I was having a really bad day. I was basically premenstrual. My hormones obviously were all over the place because of that, and I was suffering through really bad time because I'd had like, I'd thrown out my back, I'd had migraines, which I think were premenstrual, like really bad symptoms. It was 2 days before my birthday. My birthday is always a sore subject for me because of having lost my mom, so it usually brings up some hard feelings sometimes. And something else was happening. I forget, but there were like 3 different things that happened. Oh, so my blood pressure. So I went there for my blood pressure also, as well as my anxiety, because my blood pressure was getting a little crazy, and I suspected that a lot of that was tied to my anxiety. Now, I just watched a documentary called Heal the other day. Hey, Regina. And in this documentary, they were saying 90% of cardiovascular disease is stress related. And I think we kind of all know that. So I did take my blood pressure one day. Maybe it was 7 sessions. And so it wasn't really, it was a little bit lower. It dropped about by 10 points. So it did drop both the diastolic and systolic numbers, which is good news. But I was disappointed. I had expectations it was going to drop more. But again, I'm not all the way through the sessions. I was only maybe, a third of the way through. And you do have ongoing treatment after this, which I'll explain in a second. So that gets me very nervous. Before I take my blood pressure now, I never had blood pressure issues. I always had low blood pressure. But I've been through a lot of stress in the last decade. And I'm 99% sure that's the majority of the cause. There's heart disease in my family, but I'm positive it's a lot having to do with stress. So that happened. I was premenstrual and hormonal, and it was my birthday, so it was a bunch of things. So that was on my 7th session, so I had a really bad session. That was my own fault. I talked during the session. I was kind of just like upset about my blood pressure. You're not supposed to talk. He told me not to do that. So that session, I would say for me, was a little bit wasted. Again, my own fault about that, but that's okay, because after the 8th session, something turned. Like, it's like you're driving a car and you turn a corner. I literally turned a corner, and it's like things don't bother me as much anymore at all. I used to be a ruminator. If you haven't heard of that or don't know what that is, ruminating is when you're pondering thoughts over and over, and it's a leading contributor to depression. And so I'm the person, if let's say you get in an argument with somebody, it's common for a lot of people, you might relive that over and over, or you have something traumatic happen and you might relive that over and over. But ruminating is more, I feel like, day-to-day life stuff. Like something happens, somebody pisses you off, and like you can't get it out of your mind. Now, it's not always like that for me. It depends on the situation, obviously, if it's something minor, like whatever. But like, let's say it's a big friendship you had and that friendship went away. Like, I'm the type of person who would like go over that in my head a million times and like, what I did wrong, what they did wrong, what could have changed, and why did they do this, and why did I do that, and whatever, right? And so ruminating is extremely unhealthy, obviously. It's not productive. It's staying like in a negative space. So I noticed like, I'm a thinker because my profession has always been as a writer, professional writer. And so you have to think to write, obviously, and like research stuff and think things over. And I think that contributed to this bad habit. But that is like, I almost don't do that at all now. Like completely, like not 100% gone, but like, no, things don't bother me as much at all. It's like I'm able to turn on a dime, and it's just, and so that's one of the effects of direct neurofeedback. It's amazing. Let me see, other than that, just rebounding. So what I've noticed for me, again, after the 8th session, things just really, really just flipped on their head in a good way for me, is that I rebound. That has to do with rumination. I rebound from things a lot quicker. Somebody pisses me off, I'm like, whatever. I'm literally like, oh, it bothers me for a second, I'm like, whatever. I don't sit there and stew about stuff like I used to before. And I don't mean like I was sitting here like, going like this, like thinking about stuff for 5 days straight, but I mean, it would be something that would be on my mind. Hey, Sharky. So this has been like, it was so obvious to me. Like I was kind of like waiting, like, I want to feel something more. Like at the first session, you really, really feel, that you're relaxed. And he said, no session's ever going to be like the first session. It's kind of like if you go for your first yoga class, you're going to be the most relaxed after that because it's brand new. And then after that, you're never going to feel quite the same. That first class is always going to have been the best. It's the same type of thing. So I was feeling like it is helping. I could tell it was helping. By the way, I was somebody who took CBD daily. I took the strongest dose, and I took doses from dispensaries. So yes, they were full spectrum. I don't take CBD now anymore, almost never. Occasionally, if I wake up feeling maybe a little anxious, I'll take some, but I try not to. I meditate instead. So I've literally in how long has it been? 2.5 weeks maybe it's been. I maybe taken CBD twice, and I was taking it daily. I just was able to like cold turkey, like stop. That's how powerful this is. So I knew for me, I love CBD, but that the answer didn't lie in another bottle of that, because it's even though it's natural, even though it's amazing, it's still a Band-Aid. It's still something you have to take every day. I'm not taking anything every day anymore. So this is a several $1,000 investment. It does cost money, but you can either go on a vacation or two and spend that money, going traveling, or you can invest it in yourself. And I knew like I'm the most important investment, more than like seeing somewhere new, right? So like I said, 8th session, I turned a corner. So now I've had my 9th session. And when I went in for that 9th session, I told him, like, suddenly I'm like it's all like, I know, like, sorry for all these messages. I know, like, I've turned like this corner. Like I could just feel like this huge shift, and it just feels so good to be like relieved of that. I'm going to be doing more videos on other things I'm doing in conjunction with this, because there are some other things that I know are helping. But I have to say, hey, Sarah, that 90% at least, probably more, of the way that I'm feeling is due to the neurofeedback. So I've never felt more peaceful. I've never felt more relaxed. I mean, I can't remember. Hey, Brittany, this was like maybe like years and years ago that I felt like relaxed like this, or like I'm not anxiety free, so I'm not going to give you the impression that like you never have anxiety or stress again, because we live in a modern world that's like basically impossible. But it is like so life-changing that I would recommend this to anyone. I found it on my own through sheer just like curiosity, because I'm a Googler. Like I Google the hell out of everything. And I think I must have typed in biofeedback for the brain or something, and just thinking there must be something, but not knowing. And yeah, and I'm so blessed that I came across this, because nobody told me about it. I had no idea this even existed. I suspect many people watching this have never heard of it. But it literally has been life-changing. I feel like this has saved my life. I was waking up with under my skin, like I would go through phases, but when I sought this out, it was really bad. I would wake up and have so much tension under my skin, that very uneasy feeling where it's just, you just want to punch something. And I don't mean like to hurt somebody, punch someone. I mean like you just have so much pent up energy. It was this really weird really weird like feeling. Like I know everyone knows what I'm talking about, that feeling under your skin when you're agitated, but I would wake up like that. Like how terrible is that? Like nobody wants to live like that. And I knew intrinsically, I just knew that my brain was stuck in fight or flight. I've done a lot of research on this. I've been through a lot of trauma, and when you go through trauma, you're frozen in a moment of time. It's like when your computer freezes and it can't get unstuck. You got to restart the computer. Well, we're basically restarting my brain in a way. It's considered untraining the brain, direct neurofeedback, what I'm doing, getting it out of those unhealthy patterns. It's basically like, again, like tapping the brain, like, hello, like it's a little like wake up, like, hello, like, okay, let's redirect. And then traditional neurofeedback is considered retraining the brain. So whereas in traditional neurofeedback, you need to do something, you watch a movie, you have to be more active. I won't go into all that before, because my last video, if you want to check out on neurofeedback, I explained it. But this one, it's basically, I'm completely passive. I have to do nothing. The hardware, the equipment's doing it for me. It's totally safe. They've never seen any adverse side effects from anyone. I haven't experienced any adverse side effects. It's very minor. You don't feel anything happening on your head. You don't feel anything like any stinging or any weird sensation. There is a form of this. It's actually different. It's called Transcranial magnetic stimulation, TMS. That is considerably stronger, like 1,000 times stronger, but not necessarily more effective. And that I would be a little bit leery of, but I don't know enough to really comment on it. I had somebody tell me that it changes your cells and your personality, which sounds really scary. However, the doctor who's treating me said that that's actually not true. So I don't want to comment on that, but that I was nervous about. This direct neurofeedback has been studied, again, great results. So people who not only have anxiety, people who have depression, it's for people who've had brain injuries, basically concussions, have recovered. People who have had strokes have gotten much better from this. ADD, they've done this on children. And there's so many cases of so many different things. So no matter what your ailment is, I would suggest that you research this. Just type in Google like direct neurofeedback and whatever your condition is, or go on YouTube, or check out my doctor if you're in the Los Angeles area from the Dubin Clinic. And he could advise you. But I feel like I landed in the right office, and he is really the only doctor I know doing this. There's nurses out there or people who are kind of in the health profession, but I've even seen a personal trainer doing this. And no offense to him, but like, I wouldn't want a personal trainer working on my brain. That's for your body. Like, even if they're certified, like, I want somebody who has a medical background. So I feel blessed that I found him. I just can't say enough good stuff. Now, there's 20 treatments in your lump sum of treatments, right? So I went through treatment 9. So I'm now almost halfway through, and it's already a huge reduction in anxiety. I'd say at least an 80% reduction, probably more. I mean, it really is night and day if you knew me before this. And maybe if you've watched my live videos, maybe you can't tell, I can tell. And for me, that's all that matters. Like, I feel like a completely different person. I feel like back to normal. I feel like I can be joyful again and peaceful. And again, I'm doing a couple things in association with this, so watch for my other videos. If you're watching this on YouTube, it will be under my physical and mental health playlist. And you'll see some other things that I talk about that I'm doing in conjunction. There is one other important thing that I think is having a pretty big part, but I just want to keep this on neurofeedback. So 90% of my recovery, I feel like, is due to neurofeedback. So that's it. So I'm going to go for the rest of my sessions. I go twice a week. And then after that, you do like tune-ups, they call it. So it's like if you go to the gym and you go to the gym for like 2 or 3 months and you go like a bunch of times, well, it's actually different because then you would continue to go the same amount to the gym. But like, you know, you have to kind of keep things up to speed. So what you do is he suggests maybe like, depending on how I'm doing, maybe then I go down to once a week, you know, a few treatments, and then maybe once a month. And then really it should be like I go there maybe every 3 to 6 months maximum. Maybe it even is once a year. And for me, what I'm going to do, my plan is, because the holidays are always hard for me. So around significant, because I lost both parents. So around significant holidays, things like my birthday, my parents' birthday, Thanksgiving, Christmas, you know, other dates in the lives, like when my parents were engaged, is New Year's Eve and things like that. Things that are, you know, when my mom died, she died between Easter and Mother's Day. So pretty much for me, all the holidays can be hard. I'm going to go in before every holiday. That's just what I want to do. So that I feel like I get one treatment and I feel like I could just like, you know, rest easy. And I'm not going to do that for the rest of my life. I just would like to maybe do that for the first year and then see how I'm doing. But meditation also, I'll talk about in another video. A specific type of meditation kind of that I'm doing has really helped. And also something called heart rate variability. Again, I will go over that specifically and tell you exactly what I'm talking about. But yeah, I feel great. I highly recommend it. Everybody's going to have a different experience. I have nothing bad to say. Like I said, I did have one bad treatment. That was my own fault. I got myself worked up, and that's something that I'm working on. Like if there's something really distressing in my life, not everything, but really major things, like the blood pressure can be scary because doctors have yelled in my face telling me I could have a heart attack or stroke. So clearly, and I don't want to take medication. That's why I'm doing all this stuff, because I don't believe in drugs. I believe in drugs for acute situations. Hey, Ryan, I don't believe in drugs for chronic situations. That's the problem, I think, in our world. People take drugs just chronically. It's doctors and hospitals are amazing if you're in a car accident, if you have, you know, some major thing like, you know, and ER doctors and surgeons that perform surgery on you. There's medical miracles. Like, I'm so for that. But like when it comes to you have a chronic problem, like if there's something deeper going on, and I truly believe, like I've had a flash of enlightenment, and I truly believe, I've heard this many times, but I never really got it. And I feel like I just got this. It's really all about your positive emotions like gratitude, appreciation, care, compassion. I'm a very compassionate person, but sometimes you miss that compassion towards yourself. And so it's really about honing in mostly on gratitude. I feel like that's the key to literally healing yourself from so many things. It all comes from within your heart, which is why I'm doing heart rate variability as well. But once you're stuck in a negative pattern, it's hard to get out of, and it can be almost impossible. And that's why I went through neurofeedback and continue to. And that's it. So you're welcome to DM me or message me on YouTube if you have any questions about my doctor, but I'll drop it in the description bar and explain, again, a little bit more detail. But yeah, I have nothing but positive things to say. One of the best things I've ever done. I had people telling me to take different CBD, more CBD. For me, it wasn't CBD. I think it's great if you have mild anxiety. My anxiety was off the charts, and it was due to trauma, and it was not just due to everyday little stressors. And I know for me, I could feel in my bones what the right decision was. I made the right decision. I'm thrilled with the results. I just feel great. So you don't have to suffer if you're suffering from anything. There's always a solution in life. And sometimes it feels like there isn't, but I promise you there always is. And I really feel like this has the potential, I hope, to go mainstream, direct neurofeedback. There's only been 250,000 people in the world who've been treated with it, and I'm one of them. And I feel really blessed for that to be the case. And I hope more people can take part in this and really experience firsthand what it's like, because it's life-changing. So with that said, I will leave you, wish you a beautiful weekend, and we'll chat soon. Take care.